Okay, good morning. I decided that I would talk today about the C gap run. And, I've been accused of you know, the C gap run is the this and the C. I have no particular affinity for any football play, but I do try to approach each and every one of them like they're useful and the logical reason for running them. And the thing I like most about the CGAP play is about what I'm going to explain to you right now. Okay, just for me, a little history of the thing. And when we're talking CGAP, we're talking about butt of the tight end or butt of the ghost tight end. Okay, to the open side. And I guess the best way to describe it is it's an off tackle play, okay, but with zone blocking. And the roots of it, and I heard Jim McNally say this like 100 years ago, is Woody Hayes in Ohio State, 3 yards in a cloud of linemen. And some clever people have applied this to a six-man blocking surface. And if you look at, the Colts and when Peyton was there and what have you, the 11 personnel is devastating. I think 11 personnel gives people a lot of trouble. So we like it because it's off tackle. It's 11 personnel. You can run it from under, which I have, or the gun. If you run it from the gun, you got to have a running quarterback. I mean, don't even think about it. Sometimes you can fool people, but you need a running quarterback. You need to counter the back, okay, if you're running from the gun. From under, especially if the quarterback can't run, you have a natural naked. The mesh occurs way away from this guy, and he really has to decide. He can't see. If the quarterback does a good job of faking, he can't really see what the quarterback's doing. And somebody has to be in the overhang. Well, in 11 personnel, that's difficult. Okay, we needed this thing against a post safety, and if you array yourself in 11, you can get a nice soft little area here. In college football, that corner's usually hard, but you can run a naked game, which I think is the best. Again, from under, we did at Penn State. You could easily switch from side to side without hopping or doing anything. We used to go over here. If this looked good, we'd go. If not, we'd go that way. It's pretty good stuff. And we could just come out and call a play and run it. The thing that I like the best about it, though, is it takes the center out of the knock 'em back game. Okay, he doesn't have to knock people back. He's always an Apache. If you look at this, here's the match area. Here's the stovepipe. It includes the tight end, the tackle, and the guard. The Apache is always the center, backside guard, backside tackle. To me, that's a big deal. Your center's got enough problems, and when you ask him if you're running, say, a B gap run, and you're asking him to be part of the stovepipe. Now, of course, if you don't buy into the stovepipe and all that other stuff, well, it doesn't matter. Just do what you want to do. And if your center can knock them back, I guess you're good. But I just had an opportunity to look at an NFL center who's probably one of the better ones that ever played, and he doesn't do much, knocking them back stuff. He's more of an Apache and big, strong, quick guy, and this play was good for him. You can argue about the read spot. For me, the read spot is here, and of course these splits I draw them for clarity, but they're a little tighter than that. Okay, now the first time I had ever really, and believe me when I tell you, I've learned a lot of this stuff just very, very recently. Experience is a result of bad judgment, and I had plenty of bad judgment over the years. But the first, I was always a B gap guy. Why? Because that's what I was taught, and that's the end of that. But first time I had noticed the slant run for what it was watching, there was a videotape way back in the 90s of LSU under GERRY DINARDO. I think he was there from 94 to 99. And he had the 4-5 hole, and then he had the 6-7 hole. Well, that 6-7 hole play was just beautiful. And it was primarily most of the tape. Okay, the 6-7 hole play. I'm gonna just shut this down for a second. Okay, so I'm back. Like I said, I got rid of all that stuff because I wanted to show you this. We needed to have a run against post safety. You know, everybody draws up runs. I worked for a guy who would always draw up runs versus cover 2 or cover 4, and he, you know, 7 guys blocking 7 guys. And when I used to talk about, well, who's got this guy? And he'd say, well, the wide out or the tailback's got him. You know, well, it's not too good when he's better than the tailback. And we just felt also that we wanted to have a run that we could call that would avoid a TFL, okay, and run away from the 8th guy in an 8-man or the 7th guy in a 7-man front. Okay, so by running here, everybody's got a shot. Everybody has a shot at that tailback. But when you run them here, these guys really have to make an effort to get there, and he can hold them back. He can hold. Of course, if you put this guy in the sniffer position, you're getting knockbacks and all that, and you know you can massage this a lot. But this was the thing we were looking for right here. You're running away from the 7th or 8th guy in an 8-man front. The quarterback essentially just becomes a thrower. He doesn't, you know, he doesn't have now, you know, we in this day and age, you know, I just coached where we didn't have a quarterback that could take a snap from center, which is difficult. And I'm not blaming anybody. It's just that, you know, it's hard to believe. But this play takes the quarterback out of it in terms of the run game, lets him concentrate on throwing. Bootleg, of course, you know, he's got to be able to run, but a little bit, but he's really got to be able to throw on the run more than anything else. And I think that the mesh is where the mesh occurs. When you mesh the quarterback and the running back straight ahead, okay, it gives this guy a quick look. When you play action out of shotgun, everybody knows what's going on. When you play action from this wide mesh, they really don't know what's going on. And even if you say, well, the linemen have got to fire out and all that. Well, you got to have sound protection too. But you can, if you look at our Ball State stuff from a couple of years ago, we were run blocking and meshing this thing and throwing the football pretty good. We had a young kid at quarterback, and you know, we just said, hey, look, make this fake, make it look good, come off the mesh, throw the ball, and it was good stuff. Couldn't do it all the time because, you know, in 3rd and long, it wasn't great, but it was probably our most successful passing stuff. And I think the slant mesh is the best play action pass from under center. Okay. Okay. Just to compare the slant run to the tighter runs, you know, when you run the ball downhill, you know, it's great. It's, you know, we're going to find out who's a man. The defensive coordinators love it because they like to tell their linebackers, you know, all this great stuff, and it's all about manhood and you know, snot bubbles and all that stuff. But the problem is this: even if you have 2 pretty mondo, and I've been blessed with some good players in the interior, probably more players in the interior than on the edges in terms of blocking. But these guys here have a lot to say about what's being run between the tackles. And if you buy into my load concept, okay, where the mass of this guy plus the force that he's making combines for a load that this man has to move, this fellow right here has to move. This is a high load situation. You know, you have a 320 pound guy who squats 600, 700, whose bench presses 400, close to 500. That's a pretty tough move. Even if you get help, you know, you can, and offensive line coaches love to talk about technique and all that other stuff, but that's sort of like I don't know, you know, maybe you know, it's good for once in a while. It's good to test your manhood. It's certainly good if you need third and an inch. I'd rather run the quarterback sneak though, especially if the center's uncovered. You know, that's pretty good. And when I say sneak, I mean, you know, quarterback sneak. You see it, you take it. Okay, just automatic out of it. You don't have to be a good runner. You just have to be smart enough to realize that there's a great big bubble here. Okay, but when you run at these big bastards, you know, you better be pretty good. The slant run, however, runs them out here, and it gives you a chance, especially against this two-gap alignment, to get an angle on the guy and make him move a little bit, get his feet off the ground, make him move towards the read spot. Okay, it removes some of the load. That's an important concept. It removes some of the load. Okay. All right, and that load situation is even worse when you're asking this guy, who's got to snap the ball, who's generally, you know, not as big as some of the other guys, to knock this dude back so that you can slam the ball up in between the tackles. You know, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, oh, we'll double team, we'll check. No, I don't know. There's still, all they got to do is fall down. You know, oh, we'll take big splits. Oh, yeah, great, but then you can't really combo block. And, you know, I don't know. I guess there's a lot of ways to do it, but I'm just telling you why I do it. However, when you run that thing out here, this guy is an Apache. He gets to encircle. Okay, he gets to position block. He gets to use this quickness, and if he gets this guy off of his feet a little bit, he's a lot easier to move. You can take. I mean, you know, I've seen some good stuff that way. I haven't seen a lot of good stuff this way. You know. I see lots of piles and blood and guts and all that stuff. And it's, you know, if you want to test manhood, great. I'm not that into that. These guys are all pretty good men. Usually, they hard to play football and hard to play offensive line, especially. So I'm not into testing. They've already passed the test. Okay, so after criticizing the between the tackle runs, now I'm going to talk a little bit about the space game. You know, the stretch runs, the ones that really look pretty, you know, where the ball gets way out here and boom, it's up the sideline. Okay, everybody is, you know, now got a chance to get an angle. But there is one little problem, okay? Let's just say you have to block this guy, okay? Well, that back is going to move him, and you gotta run, you know, and hopefully you can get an overtake and he can get it, but somebody's got to get into the path of that linebacker. Somebody's got to have a foot race with the linebacker. And what that means is that you can't hang around quite as much on the line of scrimmage, okay, to help against the down lineman. So, well, what people start doing is this, and well, what defenders start doing is this. They flatten these guys out and bring him underneath. And they say, well, I'm going to outrun him. Well, you better outrun him, but there's going to be a guy out there waiting on you as the thing gets stretched. It's good football. I'm impressed with it, especially if that guy's really fast and these guys are off a little bit, or you get some good hook blocks. And it'll work. But what I've noticed is that you get more TFLs. You get more big hits, I admit, but this guy's going to win the game for you, okay? Especially, you know, like this guy right here, what he can do, okay? He's either, I'm talking about the quarterback, not the center, okay? The quarterback has to either beat you with his arm, beat you with his feet, or beat you with his mind, okay? The most effective quarterbacks I've seen, though, have a pretty good arm, and they can beat you with their mind. They're students of the game. They understand who's got what. Like this guy, Tom Brady. I don't know Tom Brady, but I know a guy that coached him. And it sounds to me like he knew every assignment, not only of the offense, but the defense. Okay? Superb physical condition, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, like basically just a big drink of water. You know, does he have a great arm? Yeah. Great mind? Yeah, great mind. in my opinion, and from what I've been told. I've never, like I said, never met the guy. But this foot race out here, like I said, big hits. These guys can't really help each other. They have to run. They have to rip and run. And if they get played underneath, okay, in other words, he's trying to rip and run and get into the path. This guy's trying to overtake this thing. Whoop. Or he goes so hard and overtakes. Whoop. And even worse, probably the worst situation is this one. A SAM and an end. Okay, hang on one second, because I'm making a mess here. Okay, I'm back again. Probably the worst situation is when you have two guys next to each other that are both covered. Now this guy is up in this thing, and we're talking about the two-gap 3-4 defense, and I put this guy Dave Aranda up. I think he's really pretty good. The other guy is the Wilcox out there in Cal. I don't know how good he's going to be out there because he hasn't coached it yet, but these two-gap 3-4 guys will drive you crazy with this stuff. And yeah, I mean, because there's so many possibilities. When you're going at somebody, okay, it's kind of, you know, if you're going straight up the middle, okay, it's easier to handle this overhang situation and end and an outside backer. It just gets real hard in here. When you come in at this angle, okay, I can say to this guy, look, you match him, okay? You do what you do, and you two guys work together, but step deep enough if this guy's in a two-gap alignment in case you do get that spike and you can get the exchange and we'll spit the ball. Now you're matching this guy and playing long with your arms. He's in a two-point stance. If you do it right and match him, don't try to cover him, you can get him moving pretty good. And if you got a guy like we had this kid Jesse James at Penn State, and he was 6'7", 260. He'd grab this guy and run with him. You know, guy's in a two-point stance, and plus he's a coverage player, Sam Backer. And it kind of left this thing alone a little bit right here. Okay, now out here, now you're in a foot race with this guy. Well, you go too wide and he comes underneath. Well, the tackle's got to be there. Well, the tackle's never going to be there because he's got his own problems. If you say to the tackle, go ahead and do it, he's still going to be saying, well, I can't let the guard hanging out. Now, this is just me being paranoid, and I've seen guys do it, but basically, this guy right here, he would take most people running this play and shove it right up their butt. And he would take most people running this play and shove it right up their butt. To tell you the truth, when we were running this play at him, they were kind of shoving it up our butt, but it was better than anything else. Okay, so there you go. These are the reasons why I see gap. You know, I could get into how you do it, but I've been doing that. You know, the green light, red light, yellow light concepts, the pace of it. You know, the Apaches. The key is the center being an Apache. And one thing that I do want to do, I do want to cover the center as an Apache, because the rest of it, you know, you can go back and watch all the other videos. Okay, right here, let's say that center feels like he's got green light. There's a man in his gap. Okay, well, he's going to take an arc step, and please refer to the other videos for the arc step. And he's going to try and encircle this guy. And if he does encircle him, because maybe that guy's a little fat and, you know, he doesn't move too well, he just holds that position. He doesn't have to knock him back. The ball's being run out here. If he gets into any sort of a foot race, okay, and let me shut this down for a second. If he gets into any sort of a foot race with this guy, guess what? 2 steps in proper arc position puts him in the where? The stovepipe. He can cover this guy up, put another hand on him, and do what he can with him, and the back can make him right. Okay, that's pretty cool. All right, let me hang on for a second. If he Apaches versus yellow and pops out, guess what he does? he gets square to air. He's got an angle on this big dude. Guy's got to run through him. Now, when I say arc, I mean the way I coach it. You know, you can't just run out of there. You gotta step deep. You gotta gallop through, and if you pop out square to air, get square to air, okay, and hold your ground. You've got an angle, all right. Pretty easy. And if you're going to Apache and you get the long stick, it'll probably get there before you square up. You'll see it. Plus, you're getting tips from all these guys. You know, the spins and everything. You're going to have a chance to pick that thing up. And if that's the case, even if it's a looper, okay, these guys are now free because you've picked that up. This guy's not cut loose. There's no TFLs. It's an easy pickup, okay? Now, you know, I'm giving away a lot of stuff, and I don't know how good it is. You know, like I'm out of work here, but it seemed to be good. We picked up a lot. We were pretty good against TFLs anyway, and ran against some pretty good outfits. You know, Toledo's no joke, and Texas A&M, and, you know, Northwestern, and what have you. So I don't know. I do know this. If you want to hear more, okay, you just got to go back through these tapes. I can't sit here and repeat everything every time, all the time, okay? And, you know, I am available if anybody wants to bring me out. You know, there's a lot of guys using this stuff, making a lot of money, and I'm just sitting here fixing, digging ditches. So anyway, that's me. So everybody, I hope this makes sense to you. I got recently a note from somebody. He said, I get a lot of people that say, gee, your stuff makes so much sense. And then I get people that say, gee, your stuff is soft, or gee, your stuff is too confusing, or gee, your stuff is... And I think a lot of that comes from not paying attention to some of the things that we say and the way we say them. Okay, because if you look at the videos, I don't think we look that soft, especially the AGAP run, where you can really, you know, I don't think we look real soft at all. And, you know, the Apache stuff, maybe sometimes it looks soft, but again, we're trying to avoid penetration, avoid TFLs. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. It's 22 minutes. It's unfortunate. I talk a lot. Bye.